What's up everyone, Avery from Filmtools back today with another new product. Today we're looking at the Steadicam Steadimate-S from Tiffin. Let's get into it. So Steadicam released this product just a few weeks ago, and a few disclaimers before we jump into this. I've never actually used a Steadicam product before. I've flown a Ronin before, I've used other gimbals, so you're going to be learning along with me as we unbox this and take it for a test run. And also, this isn't sponsored by Steadicam or Tiffin in any way. We're just really excited about this new product. So let's unbox this and see what it's about.
Here's what you get with the SteadyMate S and Aero Vest kit. On the right side of the screen is what you get inside the smaller box. On the left side is what you get in the bigger box. Let's start by going through what you get in the smaller box. You should have 6 M4 screws, 4 thumb screws. These are the adapters you would use if you're using a gimbal other than a Ronin-s. This is an anti-rotation screw. Tiffin also provides an Allen tool. Right over the smaller objects, you have your 2 weighted rods. Right here you have your weights. You should have 4 quarter-pound weights and 6 half-pound weights. Here are the 2 outer rings. They should have plastic bushings inside of them that slide around. Right above those, you have your 2 inner rings. You can differentiate the inner and outer by the Steadicam written on the inner rings. This is the base plate. On the other side, you have your yoke. Screwed into the yoke is a tripod screw. And the last item you should have in the smaller box is a balancing stud. In the larger box, you have only a few items. You should have 2 arm pieces that will connect to make up your built arm. And last but not least, your vest. This should be everything in the kit. Now we're going to build this out. Before you start building, you're going to want to balance your camera on your gimbal. After you've done that, grab the 2 inner rings and wrap them around the stem of the gimbal. Make sure they are below the motor. You do not want to clamp down on the motor. Grab 2 of the M4 screws and lightly tighten them. Use the included Allen wrench to further tighten the screws. Grab 2 more screws and do the same on the other side of the inner ring. Now grab the 2 outer rings with the plastic bushings inside and wrap them around the inner ring. Make sure the bushings slip into the notch that wraps around the inner ring. Grab the last 2 screws and use them to snugly connect the 2 ring halves together. You might notice that the outer ring is sticking. This is totally normal and is easily fixed. What you're going to do is slightly loosen the screws holding the inner ring together. Then, starting at the bottom screws and moving your way to the top screws, you're going to tighten them all down. After you've done this, the outer ring should spin freely. Next, you're going to attach the yoke to the outer ring. For this, you'll need 2 of the thumb screws and, of course, the yoke. Now attach the yoke to the gimbal. Now you should set up a C-stand or, if you have it, a Steadicam cart and attach the included stud to the pin. Grab the built-out gimbal and slide the yoke onto the stud. As all the weight is on the top of the gimbal, it will want to invert. This is totally fine. It's worth mentioning that we are setting this up in a slightly different way than is laid out in the manual. We found it easier to invert the gimbal on the cart, so we had access to the bottom of the gimbal for the next setup steps. To set up the weight system, you're going to start by attaching the base plate to the bottom of the gimbal with the anti-rotation screw. Next, take the tripod screw that is attached to the yoke and screw it into the smaller hole on the bottom of the gimbal. Now put the 2 weighted rods into the holes in the base plate. Make sure they're lined up with each other. Secure the rods with the 2 remaining thumb screws. Attach the weights by screwing them into the rods. You want to attach 4 of the half-pound weights to the back side of the gimbal. And the 2 remaining half-pound weights and the 4 quarter-pound weights to the front of the gimbal. Once all the weights are attached, the gimbal will naturally flip back upright. Setting up the vest is fairly self-explanatory. You're going to clip the shoulder clips to the top of the chest plate and waist clips to the lower side clips. Putting the vest on is easy enough. Unclip the waist clips and slip the vest over your head. Reclip the waist clips and adjust the vest until you are comfortable. You want the waist pads to rest comfortably above your hips, allowing free movement for you to lift and move your legs. The back pad should sit in the middle of your back. To put the arm together, you're going to take the pin out and align the holes of the two arm halves. Slip the pin through the holes to attach the arm pieces together. Attaching the arm to the vest is easy enough. First, loosen the two small screws on the panel on the lower right side of the vest. Once they are loose, you're going to slip the pin on the arm into the hole and tighten down. You're now ready to attach your camera. Grab the yoke with your right hand and the gimbal with your left. Lift it off the pin and slide it onto the end of the arm. As you lower the gimbal, you will notice that the camera is either too high or too low. Adjust the height of the arm by turning the blue knobs until the arm pieces are horizontal to the ground. We wanted to test just how much of a difference the SteadyMate S made while shooting a walking scene. So to test this, we're going to see the difference between a handheld shot walking up a flight of stairs following a subject and the same shot with a SteadyMate S. So here's our handheld shot. As you can see, it's pretty shaky and overall not super smooth. If anything, it's almost distracting how shaky the footage is. And here we have the same shot with the SteadyMate S. The difference is pretty astounding. It almost looks like the camera is floating compared to the handheld footage. Also remember, this is my first time actually using the SteadyMate S, and even though the shot isn't perfect, overall I would say the shot is pretty good for having just picked up the piece of equipment. And in this side-by-side comparison, you can see there's definitely a major difference in quality of the shot. The SteadyMate S adds major stability to your shot and a much more professional look compared to the handheld shot.
So after seeing that footage, you might be thinking to yourself, looks like a cool piece of equipment, but do I really need it for myself? Let's say you're shooting weddings or you're just a filmmaker who's using a gimbal and you've noticed some bounce in your shots. This actually could be the perfect piece of equipment for you. At under $1,000 or with a payment plan under $100 a month, this could be the next piece of equipment for you to add to your filmmaking arsenal. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, make sure to follow us, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up.